Ever since From Software garnered critical and commercial success with its signature Souls formula, countless developers have tried to replicate that magic with varying degrees of success. Most would agree that the most recognizable aspect of these games is the high level of difficulty and other similarly brutal mechanics. But what if you completely removed or altered these elements to create a more inviting experience for newcomers to the genre? That's what tinyBuild is trying to do with Asterigos' Curse of the Stars. And while the results are surprisingly great, some significant shortcomings might stop the game from soaring to the heights that it can. Set against the backdrop of a fantastical empire that's heavily inspired by the likes of Greek and Roman mythologies, you take on the role of Hilda, a young, impressionable, but fierce warrior of the Northwind Legion, who has been sent on a mission to find her father's missing battalion. We also learn that Hilda's king has been inflicted with a foreign curse, and now it falls upon the brave warriors of the Legion to travel to faraway lands in a frantic search for a cure. This leads Hilda and her father's battalion to the town of Aphis, where the same curse has turned the denizens into goblins and beasts who crave for stardust, where you meet a bunch of characters and delve deeper into conspiracies that date back thousands upon thousands of years. The story can start out slow, and while it tries to go off towards many different tangents and explore themes of love, empathy, and betrayals, they all end up mixing together in such a way that it doesn't let any particular element shine as bright as it could. And the plot becomes bloated with a lot of unnecessary stuff and technical details that doesn't really add anything to the experience. The characters are pretty distinct, and many have their own quirks and likable personalities, which is a great change of pace from the general Souls-like formula where everyone is on the brink of descending into madness and must talk in riddles. For instance, the blacksmith in the game is a cute talking fox who calls you as her sweetie and reassures you on every decision you make. I don't remember the last time I had such a supportive blacksmith in any Souls-like game. But the dialogues are extremely long and filled with uninteresting details and bland writing that makes getting through the conversations an absolute slog at times. The game also features story choices that will affect your character's relationships and their surroundings. An early game choice allowed me to negotiate a deal with the boss character, but in failing to do so, I had to fight the beast, which made me look like a careless killer in the eyes of my companions. As such, I tried to stick close to the moral path for future levels. Though I didn't make any such significant decisions later on, it's a decent system, though players might need to do multiple playthroughs to see how every decision ends up affecting the storyline.
It's been a while.
Once you're done with the expositions and introductions, Asterigos puts you into the deep end with its combat. I like to term Asterigos' combat system as a Souls-like, since its gameplay is a lot more forgiving in terms of difficulty than your average Souls-like, at least on the normal difficulty. And yes, there are difficulty options. While you will have to master the careful dance of dodges, blocks, and strikes to get through encounters, you don't need to pay a lot of attention to the stamina meter since that only depletes by a certain amount when blocking a strike. Enemies are also pretty forgiving, and while there are plenty of enemy types, none of them require radically different strategies to defeat. Even if you die during combat or exploration, none of your collected resources are lost. But you are teleported back to your last visited conduit, which are Asterigos' equivalent to bonfires. Hilda can wield two types of weapons at the same time, and you can choose from a handful of options such as a sword and shield combo, a heavy hammer, a pair of daggers, a staff, and a spear. Each allows for a slightly different playstyle, but I stuck with the sword and shield combo for the vast majority of the runtime alongside the hammer for the occasional heavy attack. Each weapon is fun to use, and resources for upgrading these weapons are plentiful, so you're unlikely to find yourself dishing out battling damage to your adversaries. Furthermore, you also have additional special moves that can be activated through the use of triggers alongside the ability to switch elemental buffs mid-fight. Another interesting aspect about the combat system and the progression, as you get through the game, you can earn XP, which provides you with the attribute and talent points. The attribute points will go towards increasing your character's stats such as HP and damage, while the talent points can be cashed in to unlock special skills for your character from the skill tree. Apart from that, the tree also features perks, which provide some gameplay benefit at the cost of a disadvantage. For instance, a perk might increase your effectiveness of your health potions, but in turn, your potion carrying capacity decreases by 4. You can change your perk loadout or unequip them on the fly, so you can customize your character build depending on the situation at hand. While I don't need to fiddle with these systems all that much on the normal difficulty, your mileage may vary for higher difficulties. Where Asterigos sticks closely to the Souls-like formula is in its exploration department. You start from a shelter where you make your way to different levels which range from a ghosted bazaar to a trap-infested mine to high-walled forts, each of which is a large space that loops around itself. There are very few checkpoints in every map, so it becomes essential to search every nook and cranny in search of shortcuts like elevators or locked doors so that the subsequent journeys become a lot easier. Of course, going off the beaten path also rewards you with more crafting materials or consumables. That can make these detours worthwhile. Each of these levels also features some NPCs, which will give out simple side quests involving fetching something for somebody or finding a hidden item somewhere in the map, which, as you can guess, aren't all that interesting. At the end of a level, you are greeted with a boss fight, and while some of them can be fairly challenging, they are pretty forgettable for the most part. Asterigos has some promising aspects when it comes to gameplay, but the game feels sorely lacking in the technical department. The game looks pretty bland with lifeless textures and painfully low draw distances, and the animations aren't as smooth as I'd have liked. Enemy AI also has a tendency to glitch out, and there are many instances when some enemies wouldn't react to my presence at all, among other things. Asterigos' Curse of the Stars could have been an excellent feel-good Souls-like, but for that to happen, the story aspect really needed to hit home with its themes and writing. tinyBuild has crafted a simple but highly customizable combat system along with enticing exploration, but those promising aspects are let down by plenty of technical problems as well. All in all, it's a decent experience, but one that could have ended up amazing if reiterated upon. Hey, did you know that we at tinyBuild upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below, and be sure to check out our new channel, GB Plays.